Hello and welcome to So You Think with Pastor Terry, the show that is spiritually significant, culturally relevant, that helps you look at life issues in a non-traditional way. And we'd like to welcome you to the show tonight. We have a great show lined up for you tonight. And I just want to let you all know before we get really into this that we are this is a recorded show, and it's going to be replayed back on Thursday at 6 o'clock on Envision Radio. Again, this is a re-recorded show being recorded, to be played back again on Thursdays, this coming Thursday at 6 o'clock. And so tonight, we're just going to jump right on in tonight because we got a very interesting topic tonight that we're going to be talking about. This was pretty much asked of us. Could we talk about this last week we did our show last week, because we have a lot of people that are becoming our new fathers and whatnot. So tonight we're going to be talking about fatherhood and what that means, and being a father of color, a Black man, and what has that been like for you, and all that good old stuff. So we're going to be covering all that, and but like I said, I'm missing my co-host right now, but hopefully he'll be signing on here real soon. But right now I want to introduce our guests. Tonight we have some really, really great guests. There's some people that are really, really, they're buddies of mine. They're all friends of mine, and they're all great dads, great fathers. So tonight I want to go ahead and bring up first our guests. We have one of our guests, Maurice Williamson. How you doing, Brother Williamson?
How are you? How you doing tonight, Pastor
I'm
Terry?
doing well, doing great, man. Great to have you with us tonight and everything. And like I said, and we're gonna get to everybody, all the little other introductions and stuff like that. But next person I want to bring up is Pastor Stefan Kirby. How you doing, Pastor Kirby?
Good evening, man. How you doing, brother?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Great having you on board tonight. And tonight we also have my brother from another mother, Brother Wendell Burns. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Can
Great
you hear me okay?
to have you. And also we have my mighty co-host. He's not short, but what he says, he's not tall, but he's a big man. And we have with us tonight Minister Cedric.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
Brother Sid.
Minister Chris.
I'm gonna do what I can. I can't find those headphones. Hold on a sec.
All right, Cedric.
I'm here. Is that better?
No, it's still
no. All right. Well, let me check. Hold on. So don't say nothing to me yet. But I'm here. I'm listening. We're gonna fix this little problem.
Yeah, we have a little technical difficulties.
But go ahead. I can hear you. I'm just gonna fix my problem.
Okay. Well, basically, tonight we have a really great show packed for you guys tonight. And like I said, we're going to be talking about fatherhood. But before we get into the topic, I want to kind of go around the room here and just kind of ask everybody to tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been, if you're married, how long you've been married, if you're not married, tell us, how many kids you got, all that good stuff, where you're from, where you live, who your mommy is, all that good old stuff. So I want to start with Maurice. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, Maurice.
Oh, okay. My name is Maurice Williamson. I'm actually originally from Chicago. I have been down here in Louisville since 1995. My wife and I will celebrate our 28th year wedding anniversary this upcoming Saturday.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you. I am a clinical social worker, and I actually work with kids with severe behavioral and emotional issues. Okay. So, and I've been doing that for the past 21 years. And I also do domestic violence counseling with men who commit acts of domestic violence. And I also have an expertise in the area of substance abuse.
Okay.
So,
okay. Awesome.
So I run the gamut.
You run the gamut on this joker right here. All right. Well, let's go over here to Pastor Kirby. Kirby, tell us a little bit about yourself, sir.
All right. My name is Stefan Kirby. Born and raised in Louisville, Kentucky. Navy veteran. Served in a Desert Shield, Desert Storm back in the day. Started preaching when I was 20. Started having kids when I was 26. Yeah, I'm just a pastor of a church here in Louisville, and I love God and I love my children. That's about it. I'm not married.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I'm just glad to be here.
How,
It's cool.
how many kids do you have, Pastor Kirby?
I have a total of 12.
12 children.
12 children. 12 children.
Ooh,
Yeah. Yeah.
the 12 tribes.
Yeah. Six biological, and then God gifted me with 6 more.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm dad. I am dad. I am
Yeah.
dad. I don't believe in steps. Amen. I don't believe in steps. All right. I'm dad. All
That's
right.
it.
Yeah. So
That's awesome. And so next we're going to drop down to Mr. Wendell Burns. Mr. Burns, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where you
All right.
from? All that. How long you been married? You have kids? All that good old stuff.
Well, I think I'm gonna just rename my brother Stefan to Abraham,
Abraham.
and and let him live up to that. Because 12
Okay.
kids—that's a lot, man.
Yeah.
God bless you. Well, my name is Wendell Burns, and I tell you what, I grew up in Indiana most of my life by way of Georgia, and Terry and I met when we were in college at the University of Dayton, and so we've known each other almost over 30 years now.
Yeah,
It's
over 30 years.
amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, can you believe that? You're getting old, brother.
Okay. Yeah.
I've been married. I tell you what, I don't do the math. I just know the date. I think that's the most important thing. I was married August 2nd, 1997.
Nice. Okay.
And we have 2 children. And I'm like my brother Kirby. I don't believe in step, but my wife was previously married, and she has a son, and we have a son. And we have a daughter together as well. So I have 2 children. I have 2 young people at this point in my life. They're
Right.
both, my daughter's 21 and my son is 33.
Okay.
And he's married, and he married into a blended family as well. And he has a daughter, and they're expecting. So I'm double pawpaw in a way, right? As well.
Pops.
Pops, right. I'm currently in Cincinnati, and I've been in Cincinnati over 20 some years as well. So, just living life. I currently work for Bon Secours Mercy Health as a delivery manager in our project management office. So, and Terry, I haven't shared this with you, but the sun is coming over the horizon, and it starts with an R. Right, ends with an E, right? So I'm starting to see that, which is great. It's a blessing. But yeah, I'm just having a good time, and I'm currently actually on the side also officiate tennis, and I'm actually in Indianapolis right now doing a tournament.
Oh, awesome. Well, thanks for being with us, Wendell. And we have my sidekick, my co-host, Minister Cedric, the host of Relentless Pursuit on Elation Radio. And he's my co-host here with us. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Cedric. You got a unique thing, girl. I can't hear you. Can't hear you.
They can't hear you.
Now we can hear you.
Can't hear him.
I think we heard him.
No,
Yeah,
that was Maurice.
Oh, okay.
That was Maurice. Yeah, and he's the tech guru.
yeah.
You got to put your headset on.
Sign language.
But, well, basically, we'll get back to Cedric, but we'll go ahead and get.
Okay, well, what about now?
We hear you, but there's an echo, a little bit of an echo.
I'll be right back. Sorry. I'll do my introduction later. People know me. I'll be right back.
All right, thank you. All right, so basically, let's go ahead and get started with this. Go ahead and get started on this. Thank you all for your introductions and introducing yourselves and whatnot. Well, but I'm also, I'm Terry, Pastor Terry, and I've been married for going on it'll be 28 years this year. And we have a daughter who's 25 years old. And so, yeah, she's been our everything for years. And we're very proud of her. She completed her bachelor's degree at Lewis University, where she ran track Division II. and she completed her master's degree, and she starts her PhD in the fall.
Awesome.
She starts her PhD in the fall, so she'll have her. So hopefully she'll have her PhD within the next year and a half. So she's really excited about that. So, but with that being said, we're talking about fatherhood. We're talking about fatherhood, and I sent you guys some things out. But I guess the one thing I want to start out with is when you first heard that you were going to be a father, what was your initial reaction? And, what were your feelings? What was going on within you? And I'm going to pitch this out to Stefan. Stefan, go ahead.
Really?
Really?
No, that was my reaction.
Oh, that was your reaction.
Yes. I wasn't, and see, so I'm always transparent, so it doesn't matter, because people will say whatever they're going to say, but I rush to say it first before you hear it from somebody else. Mm-hmm. I want you to hear it directly from me. All mm-hmm. right. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't married. All right. And I was dating, I guess that's what you want to call it. Mm-hmm. And come to find out, sometimes when people get together, they do something, there's a twinkle in the eye, and all of a sudden, glass of wine or whatever, and some Prince and Luther in the background, and next thing you know,
right,
there's something coming. So I wasn't prepared.
Right.
Okay. I wasn't prepared, but I thank God that through His grace that He allowed me to work through it and to accept it. Okay. I didn't want to be somebody who would run from it. I didn't want to be a deadbeat father. I knew what I didn't want to be. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Because, fathers today, there's just stereotypical thing of Black fathers not doing whatever they're doing and not owning up to responsibility. Mm-hmm. All I knew at that point is when I found out that I was going to be a father is what I didn't want to be. I didn't know what I wanted to be just yet, mm-hmm. But I knew what I didn't want to be. So, and I thank God for at least that type of knowledge right then of what I didn't want to be. So I knew what to work away from.
Okay.
So yeah, that's basically what how I felt when I learned that I was going to be a father, and I wanted to be a great father, but I didn't know what that was.
Wow.
I didn't know what greatness was. I knew I wanted to be, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how to get there. I didn't know how to become a good father, a great father. But I knew that I didn't want to be a bad father.
Right. Well, and how about you, Wendell? I mean, what was it like for you?
Well, like I said, my wife was previously married. So I kind of eased into it because my son was 6 years old, I think, when we got married. But when my daughter came, it was just a different feeling, right? I was, fatherhood is it's not a destination, right? It's a journey, and you're always, I think parenthood is that way, right? You're always trying to say, did I do that right? Am I giving the right example? Mm-hmm. Was I thoughtful enough? And then my daughter came, right? And my daughter, it's different when you have a son because the son is like you, even if he's not yours, they're still men, they're boys, and you can kind of go, it'll be fine,
Right.
And they're like, okay, it'll be fine. Girls are much more intuitive and feeling, and you have to be more patient. And I learned that real quick because, you can't raise your voice to girls like you can boys. That inflection of your voice just sends them in a tizzy sometimes. And so you had to be patient and really figure out the differences and the nuances. And that was something that I'm still practicing.
Right. You're still learning that. But I do have a question though for you guys. So both of you all said something that kind of really sticks with me. And Stefan, I think you hit it first, and it deals with you knew what you didn't want to be, but examples like for me, I grew up in a 2-parent household, but there were some things that I'm not gonna say my dad wasn't perfect, and so there were some things that I didn't get, and I don't know if that was like what that was like for you all. I mean, I knew my dad was a very hard worker. He puts food on our table. We had all the necessities. We didn't miss anything. We made it to, we played baseball, we played football, we played sports. We had everything that we needed, But that was what I saw. We went to church together, Sunday school. I got introduced to Christ as a result of my dad, those types of things. But there are some little finer points that sometimes we miss or we don't get. And so we have to try to figure this thing out on our own. Would you all say that?
Of course.
Yeah. I think the catch, at least for me, and I didn't grow up with my father, but I had stepfathers. And I think the thing for me, and maybe this resonates with you guys as well, is that men deliver unbeknownst to their children, and their wives or spouses or significant others execute on the finer points of that delivery. Okay. Or they both deliver, but the wife is the one that is recognized by the children as the executor.
Sure.
Right? So you have to be proud of the things that you've provided, but when that child gets on television, they go, "Hi, Mom."
Right. Yeah. Right.
Right. Because hi, Mom. Right. And that's okay. Right. Because had it not been for the things that you were doing as a father to provide for your family, that television moment may not have occurred.
Wow.
Right. And I think sometimes that's the duality of a 2-parent household, right? Because there's things that your children need from their mother, and there's things that your children need from their father.
Right.
But it's the things that the father provides often is the example of being the provider, the executor, the listener, right? And it's a special thing when you can become the consoler, but usually that's reserved for mom.
Right. Stefan, you were about to say something?
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Brother Byrne. My thing is like I said earlier, I knew what I didn't want to be, but I knew that I wanted to do, something great, and I didn't know what greatness was. And I like the fact when you said, it's a journey, and we're constantly going there. And I'm still not there yet. I don't think that I'm a great, I don't think that I'm the greatest dad. Even though I have cups that says that that I'm number one, and there's nobody else has those cups. But but I knew that I had to be a provider. Now, my parents divorced when I was 10. Okay, but my mom and my dad were still at the same church. I was, that never, I always had access to them, even though it was not in the same home. Okay, so I worked with my dad, and I would go home to my mom, and my first job was with my dad, and then I would just go home to my mom, so I always had access to both of them. So it wasn't like, even though they were not in the same house, I could still reach them and still talk to them and things like that. So they were still a part of my life. Okay, I knew also that I had to be a provider. And I saw a meme today, I guess, because I was just looking at Facebook, but it was a meme today, and it was a bunch of men sitting on a curb eating lunch, had on big work boots and hats and things like that. And it said, "Shout out to the men who ate their food like this so that their children could eat food at a table." I'm like, yeah, that's me, because I understand like what you were saying, when, you see the kids do the sports and first thing they do is say, "Hi, Mom," that's all good, but my thing was, and I've always been this way. I was always a person that was behind the scene. Okay. I never got caught up on titles. I never got caught up on all this other kind of stuff. I wanted to be the best that I could be, you know, just for my family because those are the ones that was looking up to me. All right. Have I done everything well? No. Sometimes, you know, you want to go back and be like, man, I shouldn't have done that. I want to do this differently. But and I don't want to get into all your questions. I know you sent me some questions, and you know it's kind of running.
No, that's cool.
Okay, yeah, but you know, you learn as you go.
But I guess one of the things that you said though, Stefan, that really sticks with me is the behind the scene. Like Wendell said, the very first thing that when the kid gets on TV in front of a pro athlete, hey mom, how you doing? You know, they think they don't say anything about dad. Dad's the one that's in the background.
Man, y'all remember Bambi?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Y'all remember Bambi? Right?
Yeah.
The little deer, right? You know, all the time was with his mom. His mom was talking to show him how to get into the meadow and all this other kind of stuff. But then when mom got killed, there was dad. He was always there. He was always there, but he was behind the scene. They saw him walking through the forest, you know, but he was behind the scene. He was the ultimate watcher. He was the ultimate, you know, protector and things like that. So I think I learned how to be a dad from Bambi.
Yeah, but I guess I'm gonna throw this to Maurice and to Cedric, the behind the scenes thing. You know, how do you manage that? I mean, knowing okay, you got your wife or you got your if you were married before and all these things, how do you manage this position of okay, I'm providing, I'm doing all these different things, and I'm not getting the credit for it. The kids are running to mama. They always running to mama. Mama, you know, mama.
Well, I think the first thing with me is again, my father died when I was 6, so I didn't have nobody there to help me figure this out. My uncle was a great man, but he didn't do for me what I needed. I needed somebody to grab me when I was 17 years old. I needed somebody to grab me by the collar and get my ass together. And it never happened. So one of the things I realized was this. First of all, put your ego in your back pocket and keep it there. Okay? Because if you want to be successful as a father, your ego has to stay where it needs to stay, in your back pocket, number one. Number two, I don't need to be in the driver's seat all the time. Right. It's okay to be in the passenger seat. Sometimes you have to let your wife lead and you follow. Okay, a lot of guys don't know how to do that, and let's be honest, a lot of black men have never been taught that. Right. Okay, so in other words, we can't feel if you've never been taught to feel. You're not going to feel. Right. Okay, so the good thing about being a clinical social worker is I get down to these issues all the time, and a lot of our young black men don't know how to feel because guess what? We're not taught how to feel. Think about it. Are we really taught how to feel or we're taught how to be aggressive? Right. Our socialization is aggression. Okay. Right. So one of the things I did as a dad was, first of all, in order for my son to see how to feel, he had to see me feel first. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So your son can't learn nothing from you until he see you do it. Okay. So I learned like, hey, look here. My wife always used to ask me, does it bother you I make more money than me? No. You've earned it. You have the right. Go for it, sweetheart. Yeah. Go for it. Matter of fact, make a lot more than me. So you make more money. I'm okay. I can say, you know what? Again, unless you put your own ego behind you and keep it where it needs to be, being a father is more than just being a provider. Right. Being a father is how, you got to know how to listen. Okay. You got to know how to take criticism from the person that you love. A lot of guys say, Mr. Maurice, I love her. But you know what? But can't take criticism from her. Yeah. Okay, so if I love somebody, I need to be able to take that constructive criticism and take that constructive criticism to make you better. Mm-hmm. I always said about my wife has a great work ethic. I need to get on board and see how she does it. Okay, so being with her for the last 28 years of marriage, 31 years altogether, I've seen, hey, you know what, man, this woman has a work ethic. I need to copy. Mm-hmm. Okay, I need to copy. I don't need to be jealous of it. Mm-hmm. Maybe if I copy it, I'll be more successful as I am now. Okay. So she's done everything that I need to do. So guess what, man? I know how to follow. I don't need to be the leader. This ain't, hey, Maurice doing all the providing. This is a two-way street.
Now,
okay?
Cedric,
So when you make it a two-way street, everybody has power.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But
every relationship has power.
Mm-hmm. I want to throw this out to Cedric, though. I mean, I know that Maurice said something about communication or listening, being able to listen, and be, as an attribute of a good father with your kid. And I want to just kind of I want to talk to you about your being able to listen from like, I know your story with your kids, so I'm gonna let you expound on all that. But how has that been for you in your particular situation?
Okay.
No.
Can you guys hear me well? Is it feedback?
Yeah. No, we're good. We're good now.
Okay. My situation, honestly, is not much different than a lot of men's situations. I'm divorced. I've chosen to basically stay single, not for just the kids' sake, but for mine. But in addressing your question, Terry, my situation it's common because when you go through a divorce and it's an ugly divorce, for some reason, in my case, the woman becomes overly aggressive and very what's the word? Tries to micromanage the relationship. Now, being a father in a situation like that, me personally, man, I'll tell you what, it took a lot. It took a lot because I felt like I had failed. And I don't know if you know anything about wild animals, but if you show some fear, they pounce on you, okay? Ain't much difference in the divorce court, trust me. So, in dealing with that, it made me open up quite a bit with my kids. In other words, I had to listen first. You know how the Bible says that man ought to be slow to speak and quick to listen. I had to learn to truly listen, but I couldn't just listen to the words. I had to understand there's a hidden agenda, right? Like my kids would say, my youngest daughter, my super spoiled one, she would say, Daddy, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. Well, what she was really saying is, I need to take enough of your attention so that you don't pay attention to anything else but me. When I'm with you, I need your undivided. And her way of doing that was to ask for something that was extremely expensive or something she knew that I wasn't going to get her, right? And so when you talk about learning to hear your kids, that's how you do it. And how do you learn to get to that point? How did I learn? Mm-hmm. I want to tell you guys something. I made a promise to my kids all the way back in 2006, and that was that I had been gone for 2 years. I won't even go into my past, but I've been a soldier my whole life. So I had been gone for 2 years. I had already at that point been divorced for about 6 years. And so I'm back in Texas seeing my kids, and my kids are heartbroken, right? Especially my oldest daughter. And I made a promise to them. I said, I will never be away for more than 90 days. And I knew it was going to be 90 days because that was where my pay structure was set up. So I was going to always be able to be back in Texas. Well, I tell you what, they were angry with me. Here it is. This is where the listening comes in. They were angry with me, so they acted out. And the key for me was, at first, I'm going to be honest, I didn't have it figured out. I didn't understand. So I would try to discipline them when they acted out. Mm-hmm. And it was their action and their attitude that I was trying to address. All the while, I forgot that they were just expressing their hurt and their pain. Mm-hmm. So I learned to listen. And as far as leading, I don't believe in leading from behind, but I don't believe I always got to be the one out front. You hear what I'm saying? I needed to participate. And for me and my kids, leadership was participation. Okay. And what that simply means is, Daddy, I got a basketball game. It's on Friday night at 6 p.m. I know it's Wednesday, but I need you to be there. Mm-hmm. That's 1,000 miles. How many times have I jumped in the car and done that, Terry? You know how many times. So for me, leading for my kids, it didn't mean that I had to be the big bad father. What it meant was, check out this shirt I'm wearing it for a reason. It says Oklahoma State University, and at the bottom it says, "In Dad We Trust." You notice that's a dollar sign on the backdrop of the dad, right?
Yeah.
You know, "In Dad We Trust," right? And that's how it came down, because when my kids needed something, I tell you, their mom, she is a very loving mom, in my opinion, a little too loving. She's kind of controlling in her way, but she's a very loving mom. She always took care of them, right?
Right.
Even at my detriment, right? But my kids, they would say, you know what, I got something really big coming up. I'm gonna need my daddy. And at first, like I said, it started out about money. But I tell you what, let's fast forward. My kids now, my oldest is 28. Yes, I'm only 35. My two youngest are twins, and they're 24. I tell you what, let something happen. Let them get into dire straits. They pick up the phone and call daddy. They pick up the phone, call daddy just to chat. So for me, leading meant that I was going to have to, all the adjustments that you guys talked about, and about putting your ego aside, things like that. And I forgot his name, Mr. Soda down there. I forgot his name.
Maurice.
But Maurice, there we go. That's the word I was looking for, Maurice. What Maurice was saying about the wife making more money and him saying, hey, go ahead and make all the money. You know, again, when it comes to the kids, none of that's important. What's important to kids is that we take the time, truly take the time, and we're just there. And that's what I learned from my kids. That's what I've learned through my whole entire situation. Hopefully I answered your question, Terry.
You did. I guess one of the things that I'm hearing for each and every one of you all is that these kids, being a father didn't come with a manual per se. You know, you didn't have a book.
The instructions I got, they're a little different.
Here's the dad book. You didn't have that, and so you had to figure these things out.
You know what? You write your own page as you're writing. Okay, for those of you all that had a dad, hey, you had somebody there that was able to show you. For those of us that didn't have a dad, guess what? I ain't had nobody there to show me. I grew up from the ghetto. Okay, mom gone, dad gone. I'm a byproduct of a foster care system. So you know what? I didn't have that help. All right, so I had to write my own book. But the one thing I said to myself was this: both my parents were dead before they were 40. Okay. So the first thing I had to do was live longer than my parents.
Right.
I said, well, look, if I live longer than my parents, then at least I can do something. So once I got past 40, I was like, okay, now I got this. But I understood when your kids are little, it's all about mom. Okay? It's all about mom. When my kids get older, guess what? It became about dad now because, hey, dad does this, dad did this. Hey, let me call dad. Because I was the one that had to find, first of all, as a father, you have to find your place. Just because you dad, that doesn't mean your place is all over the crib. Okay. You find your place and you do what you're good at.
Yeah.
Okay, when my kids were in school, I knew how to do all the financial aid. Okay, so I did all of it. Okay, when my kids started driving cars, and my wife don't know nothing about cars, Dad. Okay, I got it. Okay, so if you're able, one of the reasons my wife and I have been able to stay together so long was because I don't argue. When I get my butt chewed, I take it. All right, I deserved it. Let me, instead of being mad at what she say, let me understand what she said. Okay, and then watching all her friends, we've had so many of her friends they breaking up 28 years, 29 years, 25 years. Man, I'm looking around like, look, you know, first of all, let me keep it real. Number one, I'm too old. Number one. Number two, I'm cheap. Okay, I ain't spending no money on nobody but me. Okay, so I ain't spending no money. Number two. Number three, I ain't taking care of nobody's kids. It ain't gonna happen. So when you know who you are, I know me. I'm selfish, I'm self-centered, and I'm self-absorbed. Okay, so when you understand who you are, what type of dude you are, guess what you do? Man, let me work with the yard that I'm working with right now, and let me keep it moving.
Okay, but I'm gonna throw this out to you guys. And I'm gonna throw this up to Stefan and Wendell because Stefan, I really want to throw this to Stefan. Knowing what you know now, what would you say to your younger self now that you are older? being a father, what would you say, knowing what you know now, what would you say to your younger self?
Be patient. Be patient, not only with yourself, but be patient with your children.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because like when you ask me the question, like from behind the scenes, I was always behind the scenes and things like that because I was learning on what to do. And I think sometimes I would get into a hurry because I wanted my kids to have so much more than I ever had. I wanted to do more. And what I was doing was I was putting myself and my life in jeopardy. Okay. Like Brother Wendell, I had a blended family. So I didn't make all of my children. Okay.
Right.
But God gave them to me. So I'm thankful for that. But I still felt the need to provide. So I would work 2 jobs,
Okay.
sometimes pick up a third, somewhere along the road. And it had a toll on me. All right. Here in Louisville, Kentucky, down on 22nd Street between Broadway and I think it's Maple, whatever that little street is right there, you'll see a certain row of trees. They're all matured around the same size, but there's about 3 or 4 trees missing. And the reason why is because I was working those multiple jobs and I fell asleep at the wheel and I almost killed myself because why? I was trying to push myself to the limits to make sure that my children had something that I didn't have. So if my older self would tell the younger self, all right, before this gray hair came in this beard, and I just had a mustache, I would tell myself just to be patient, just to be patient. Don't overdo it. Don't overextend yourself. All right. You're and I think my children watched me.
Yeah.
Okay. And they knew that I was there. All right. And I think that plays a part of it. And if your children, because, we usually think it's one way, I need to do this for my kids. I need to do this for my kids. I need to do this for my kids. But at the same time, your children have a responsibility too. And it's like they're watching you. That's their responsibility. They're watching you. And they know when you're there. They know when you're doing your best. They know when you show up at the birthday parties. They know when you do this. They know when you bring birthdays and bicycles and all the other kind of stuff. They know those things. All right. So I would just tell myself, just be patient.
Okay.
Just be patient. Don't overdo it. Don't just let it flow. Let it flow. Just let it flow.
Yeah.
Well, Wendell, I have a question for you. As you see your children getting older, how do you see your role changing in their lives, or is it changing?
It's evolving, right? But I want to kind of go back to your first question, though,
Sure.
because I think one of the things that I would tell my younger self is that providing is more than just giving material goods.
Yes.
It's a broader thing.
It is.
Right. And really beat that into myself to the point where, you're being more well-rounded about the provisions that you give to your children.
Right.
Because if you've got a roof over your head, you can do more. And it's not more from a real estate and space perspective. You've provided that. Now you can, balance out that gift with time,
Right.
emotional investment, the whole picture. And sometimes we get caught up in that. But getting back to your question you asked me, I think my role has changed over the years with, first with my son and now with my daughter. And I find myself just, listening and saying, I know you'll make the right decision. And that sounds like a kind of a trite, right? But, you poured in how your thought processes and your values and they blended them with their learning and their experiences. And now they've got a blended value, but that foundation is what it is. And you can't tell a 20-something or something this is how I would do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the conversation, it's almost like, making a stew, right?
Mm-hmm.
At a certain point, you put the provisions in and you make the basic things and you just let it simmer,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're at that point where I think the flavors are combining and they're mellowing out, but there's just that one little thing, and they've got to make that decision on that little thing is going to be for them to be happy with their next step. But you've laid that foundation, and they're just asking you, do I need more salt? How should I approach this? It's like, well, let's talk about it. So it's more consultative, and imparting trust,
Right.
so that they always know that you trust their judgment.
Right.
And you can be honest when things don't go a certain way, and you can actually have a good, solid conversation.
Right. And I really get that. I've seen my relationship with my daughter evolving into that, where it's like, okay, you're out there, you're doing your thing. You can, like I said, she may come and ask you, what are your thoughts about, and you give them your thoughts, and then you just let them make the decision, whatever decision that they're going to make. But one of the things that really stuck with me, though, is we were talking about, I asked you all a question. It's like, what would you say to your younger self now that you're older? I would say for me, it was presence. Presence is everything. And it's not about, it's about your being.
You mean like Christmas presents?
No, not
presents?
Christmas presents. But presence, your gift, the presence, your presence is there. Because one of the things I realized, my daughter ran track, and she started running track when she was real little, and I was like, I told myself I'm never gonna miss a meet. So she started running when she was real little, went to all these different meets, traveled around the country, just watching her run and doing what she loved. The kicker was, we would show up at some of these meets when she got to high school, and some of these other kids, their parents wouldn't even be there. These other girls, and they would gravitate to me and they would call me Pops, and that happened even within college, and they were like, hey, Pops, like right now, I'm friends with a few of her friends that she had when she was running college, because their families never showed up for their meets. And so we were there cheering them on like they were our very own, But Taylor got that all the time, So, but I guess my thing is, if you're going to be a new dad, or if you're going to be, if you're struggling with, getting to know you're having that relationship with your kids, sometimes it's just about presence. That's just why I was thinking about, like with Cedric, when he was talking about how he would go back every 90 days. But understand, his presence was there. He talked to them, FaceTime them all the time. But when they needed him, he was always there. You know what I'm saying? When they really, he was always there, even before they even needed him. But it was but it was your presence. And I guess people underestimate just being there. Would you think that?
Well, I think part of it. I'll go ahead. I think part of it is because we haven't been there before. I mean, let's look at our community as at large. We haven't been there before. Black men, we just haven't been there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so
but Maurice, I think Maurice, I think when you talk about your children, they only know from once that point you start. When they come there, when they come into the world, that's what they know. And I get what you're saying, but when you talk about the decision that you made as a father or parent to be in that space, you might have made it based on the history of our society and our people or people, but you made the commitment, and your child knows no different because you decided to be there. And I think that's important. I think it's one of those situations where you may not be able to be at everything, but the one thing that they said was significant, all of a sudden you miss, and in their mind you were never there.
Right.
Even though you got to 99% of things, that one thing, and you don't know what it is. And that's the so you gotta just keep investing.
And that's an investment. Because I know with my son, I coach basketball, I coach football, I coach baseball. So I was there for all those things. So if it had to be a situation I wasn't there for something, then it wasn't as significant because dad has been all there all the time. But you know what? I always explain to my kids, well, hey, I'm not going to be there because of this. So they will understand that, hey, dad is not coming because he doesn't want to come. Dad is coming because he has to work. And I always apologize to him. I always apologize to that. I'm sorry. Again, if you teach your kids empathy, they learn empathy. Okay. I didn't have to apologize, but it was more apologizing to teach them something, to say, hey, when you can't do something or when you're wrong, apologize. Okay. Because when you teach your kids, one thing everybody always said about my kids, anytime they went anywhere, they always say, Mr. Williamson, your kids are so polite. They're so well spoken. Because you know what, when you're out in the street, you represent me and your mama. Okay. And this is what I expect of you. And the thing is, so I see my kids now at 24 and 22. Guess what? Okay, outstanding citizens. I did what I had to do to get them where they are. Now I've given you what you had. I've given you all the knowledge I can give you. Now it's up to you to go out and ascertain those things that you want. Dad's still gonna be here. I mean, hey, if the brakes come off, I'm gonna be here. And at this point in time, as long as your kids know that you're going to be there if they fall, then that gives them the confidence to go out there. Because without the confidence to go out there, you know what? Kids struggle, but with confidence, they understand, hey, look, there's nothing with failure. It's okay not to know. It's even okay to fail, but it's not okay to quit.
Right.
Okay. So I teach my kids that. Hey, don't quit. If you don't know, you don't know.
Right.
But don't quit.
I'm going to jump in here, Maurice. I want to just leave it out there. Hey, everybody, if you have a question for this panel, please put it in the comment box and it'll pop up and we'll be able to get to it. Because we have a great panel. We're letting you in the mind of fathers tonight. Where we are, how we got to where we are. We didn't have a roadmap. We didn't have an instruction manual. We've had to figure things. Some of us had to figure things out because we didn't have examples before. So if you have a question for any of our panelists, please just type that in the comment box and it'll come up on our screen. And like I said, make sure that we get to ask them those questions. But I have another question for you. If you had to, what, do you believe is your greatest accomplishment as a father? As a father, what do you believe is your greatest accomplishment? Cedric, go ahead.
My greatest accomplishment as a father is my relationship with my kids. Because I always brag about my son. And if anybody knows me, my son is my tough case. He's the one he's my tough one. He's my tough case. He's the one that he's gonna do what he want to do no matter what, right? But he's not a bad kid. He's just slightly irresponsible in my opinion. But he calls me yesterday. I had to speak yesterday and I spoke on fathers, us as men not being there. And I wanted to dispel some myths, but I also wanted to invite the men back to fatherhood. So he calls me after I give a testimony about him in my sermon. He's one of my talking points, but he calls me. And to my surprise, he says to me, it's great having a father like you. I know I've been a bit of a hard case and I don't always listen to you, but I feel like I'm the luckiest guy in the world to be your son. And he went on, and he's 24 years old. And I always brag on the fact that whenever he talks to me, he ends our phone calls with, hey, Dad, even if he's with his friends, his girlfriend, whatever, hey, Dad, I love you. I'll talk to you later. And that is so my greatest accomplishment is that my kids enjoy talking to me. My two daughters, oh my gosh, they call me. I'm telling you, I know more about boyfriends than I care to know about. I know more about what goes into their decision making. My youngest of the twins and of the 3 kids is expecting in September.
Pop.
Yeah, we have a pop. She already put everybody on notice. That's what I'm gonna be called, right? But it's the relationship that we have, and the fact that I didn't know that they valued my opinion. There was something that Maurice said earlier. I like to dispel myths, and what I've done with my kids is try to do that. Black fathers are more likely, especially when they're not in the home, to spend time with their kids than any other ethnicity out here. So it's a study that I've done, and I've read many reports on it. And when I read that report for the first time, and then it said that Black fathers are more likely to read to their children. Black fathers are more likely to get up in the middle of the night with their children. They are just more likely to spend time, even when they're not in the home, with their children. I wanted to be that kind of father. And, we can take it for granted when we live in the home with our kids. They can easily be overlooked. So for me, my greatest accomplishment is the relationship I have with my seed, my kids.
Okay. Hey, Stefan, what about you?
To kind of piggyback on Cedric is that I'm glad for the relationship. Okay, because when they were younger, it was just dad, protection, provide this and the other. But now that they're older, I kind of picked up something from my dad. Okay, and so like when I go see my dad now, my father, and he doesn't call me son. He calls me brother.
Wow.
And so I see that transition from, father, son to now brother. It's like he sees a mutual something in me. And when it comes to my children, I'm starting to see, and I kind of preached about this yesterday, was that the same way that God loves us all the same, but yet he loves us individually.
Yeah.
And the only way that he loves us individually is because when we get to know him and he knows us, that's why he can love us with some one-on-one and love us all at the same time. So that same type of platform of loving all my children the same way, I love them individually because I know them and they know me. So the relationship.
But how about you, Wendell? What did you say? What would be your greatest accomplishment with your kids?
Wow.
The
That's just an awesome question. I mean, you know me, I'm very analytical. And so I think and rethink things too much. And when you ask that question, my first reaction is, I haven't done it yet. I mean, but reflecting on all of this and our children and actually, understanding their values, and they blended the values that we've given to them. And I see me in all my children, even my son, who I did not, he's my stepson, right? But when I talk with him and listen to him and hear his thought processes, I don't hear his natural father's thought processes.
Right.
And I know his dad. Right? I hear mine.
You have yours.
So I know there was an impact, and that's powerful when you think about, when I think about it, because they had shared parenting, right? So it wasn't like his dad was absent, but you can see that I had a great influence, which is, powerful to me. And I listen to my daughter, and and my wife says, she's like, that's just Chip. So that is one of the things that I really treasure, and I have to coach my daughter on how to be more tactful sometimes. You know, because you know me, and I can be direct and clear.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so it's fun to watch that, and it's fun and heartening to see that in my children.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How about you, Soda?
Well, first of all, it's been an honor and a privilege that I've lived long enough to see my kids grow up. Because again, it's I don't know how that looks like, so to be around long enough to see it, it's been great. I'm glad to see the people that my kids have become.
Okay.
That was very important to me. If you don't do nothing else, make sure you're a good person. All right, because when you're a good person, good things happen to you. Number one. Number two, hey, you know what? They're grown now. Okay. Hey, you're grown. I'm gonna treat you like grown folk. Okay. I love you, but I'm gonna treat you like grown folk. And so both of my kids know how I am. Even the kids, because I work with little kids now. So everybody, I say what I mean what I say. So I'm happy to see the people that my kids have become. It's been an honor and a privilege to be their father. Okay, because guess what? Somewhere along the line, they doing a hell of a lot better than their father, and they're a lot smarter than me too. So I really like that, because I ain't the smartest cookie in the cookie jar, but I love to see my kids smarter than me.
Right.
So I can always brag on that. Hey, they smarter than me. Hey, look, Dad, I've been able to give my kids everything I didn't have. I didn't have opportunities like they were given. And I remind them, say, look, remember, hey, when I grew up, I didn't get a new pair of gym shoes every year. It was every 2 years. When I grew up, we was going for government cheese. You guys I get to go to the grocery store. Okay. So be constant reminders. Hey, look, although I am where I am, I never forgot where I came from. And I let them realize, look, this is where I came from.
Right.
Okay. So don't look at other people in a certain way. Okay. Don't ever do that. Don't judge a book by its cover. So those are the little things that I have appreciated in my kids, because I've made sure I've grounded them the way they need to be grounded. Because sometimes when you give your kids everything, sometimes they forget.
Right.
Okay. They forget how to struggle.
And I totally I get that.
Yeah.
I get with that. And I want to say, I want to throw my little 2 cents worth in there as well. I think, pretty much part like what Maurice was saying, I think accomplishment is is really helping to ground our daughter. To be that, hey, you're not better than anybody else. And it's kind of where, for her to go into the same field of study that my wife and I are in, and to want to help people, be ministry minded. She doesn't, and she doesn't give up. I mean, she's a tough cookie. I knew that she was a tough cookie when she face planted on asphalt track one day, and she got up and she wanted to go, and she got scars on her face and scars on her shoulder, knees bleeding and everything at practice. And she told the coach that she wanted to get back to practice, and the coach was like, baby, it's over. She's like, I want to go back out there. She doesn't give up. And that's one of the things I can honestly say I'm really proud to say that she's a fighter. And she when she's committed to somebody, she tries to be committed. But one thing I know about her though now is that if you ain't willing to follow through on, to give back what she's given, she's like, I'm out. I'm out of here. Yeah, deuces. Okay, but guys, we got just a few minutes. I want to go ahead and I want to do this. I want to throw this last question out there to you guys, because we had a young viewer last week that was watching the show. He's about to be the father of twins.
Twins.
You got twins too, Stefan?
I have twins, yeah.
So you and Cedric have twins?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Y'all, hey, great swimmers. But anyway, but I want you guys to be able to give him some advice. And what advice would you give to those younger men who are about to become fathers? And to make it short, I'm give you give you 1 minute to get it done, each one of you. So we're gonna start with Maurice. Maurice, boom. What would you say to those younger people who are about to become fathers? One good thing.
Man, if it's one advice I could give young brothers out here today, young dads, man, you have to be present. Because I work with so many young men that are not present. It's ugly. So I see the ugly part. Be present. Just be there.
Be present. Okay, let's go to Stefan. What would you say?
Don't fall for the ghetto games.
What do you mean? Explain that.
Huh?
You got 40 seconds. Go ahead, explain.
Oh, don't fall for the ghetto games. Okay, don't let social media dictate how you're going to be a father. Okay. In other words, you need if you don't have a good father role model in your life, find one. There's somebody that's solid that knows that that what the media portrays is not real. All right, and you got twins, so that's double. Okay, double, quadruple the responsibility, because why? One will get sick, and then you think that one's getting well. Then here comes the other one getting sick. Then you're going to be up at the children's hospital. Little things like that, okay? Because with twins, sometimes you have problems with when they're born, because they may not develop properly or something like that. But just first of all, don't believe in the ghetto games, all right? And be ready to do the work. Right. Just be willing and able and dedicated to do the work. Like my brother said down here at the bottom, don't quit. Don't quit. Don't quit.
Don't quit. All right. Mari, Wendell, what would you say to the younger guys that are about to become fathers?
So one thing that I would say, first of all, I tell everybody this: if you're thinking about having children, or if you have children, or you're thinking about having children, start saving for their education now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if you have a thought of having a child, open up an account today. Mm-hmm. Okay. That'll save you hundreds of dollars a month. Mm-hmm. The other thing, though, is create an environment where they can actually feel safe, nurtured, and willing to take risks. Because if they can't do that at home, they won't do it when they leave. Right. That's just so important. And expose your children to as much as you can, so that when they do leave or they leave the home, they have experiences that they can share with others and have a foundation for themselves, so they don't have to live through their friends, whether they be black or white.
Right.
Yeah. They have something that they can share.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. All right, now Cedric, what would you say to the younger guys trying to become fathers?
Well, I'm going to piggyback off what everybody said. I think that if you're a young man and you're thinking of becoming a father right now, self-discipline, and you have to yourself be disciplined. Time out is for childish games, and like you said, don't fall for that whole ghetto thing, and pick up a book. The reason I say pick up a book is because I have found many of great resources that kind of guide you in the right way of being a good father. We need to create nurturing, secure environments for our children, whether we are in the home or not. But the goal is to be in the home. And my last bit of advice would be, if you are thinking about having children, I'm kind of old school with this, settle down, be married, commit to that one relationship, and that'll help you along the way.
All right. Okay. And
tell them to wait. Wait. Time out. Wait.
Wait broke the wagon. You know what I mean?
well, I want to go ahead and say this. I want to say thank you all for being on the show tonight. Thank you. Each one of you guys have brought some pearls of wisdom to the table, and I pray that somebody receives some things tonight from this show. This is the post Father's Day show. But I wanted to honor you guys tonight, and I want to say, because each one of you guys are really special, and I really thank you all for your participation tonight. And like I said, hopefully we'll have you guys back again. But also, while we're sitting here, I have a new book that's out called Getting Out. Getting Out, Stepping into the Unknown with Faith. If you haven't purchased your copy, purchase your copy. You can go to Amazon.com, or you can go to Barnes & Noble. Barnes & Noble's carries it. Like I said, but we also have a I have a personal site, a landing site that you can get it directly from us, and we'll autograph it, send it to you, and everything like that. But please support. Please support. It's written by two Black brothers, and you know what they used to say: if you want to keep something from Black men, you do what? Hide it in a what? Book.
It fell on deaf ears with me. I'm always reading. So.
I know, but that's what said. That's what was said.
Yeah, I know what was said.
If you want to hide something from a Black man, hide it in the book. And the thing about it is, it's time out for that. It's time to start reading, pick up some things.
So Terry, I just need to know one thing. Pastor Terry.
Yes, sir.
When we gonna have dinner, all of us at your house? I think this is a wonderful thing.
I do too. It's up to everybody. It's up to everybody else. Could y'all hold on for a moment? We're gonna actually phase off the show. Stay right here for a second, okay? Stay right here. Thank you all for joining us.